welcome to another day of TA the Degen way. Well, it's been a little bit since we've done any updates on the crypto market. Why don't we hop right on in and take a look at Bitcoin. Been bored with crypto. This run has been going on for quite a while. Done about a 6x. I think we're down at about 15.5 all the way up to 110k about. And let's take a look at our momentum here. So here we got the Fu Manchu indicator. It's the free knockoff version of market cipher, or which is really just a combo indicator of wave trend, money flow. Obviously, market cipher has their own special benefits, and these are all tweaked different. They're not exactly the same. I'm not going to pretend they are, but they're all measuring the same thing. We're measuring momentum, the average rate of change in price. So let's look at this right here. We got this drop in momentum, rise in momentum, culminating about right there. You can see it's building and probably coming on down for a rest. Let's blow this up a little bit. So like when I'm measuring momentum, this is what I'm looking at. Momentum to me is important. Momentum does not predict the price, it predicts the flow of liquidity. So let's just remove everything here. Let's just look at our wave trend indicator here. Ignore all these other lines and other stuff. I'm not even paying attention to any of that stuff. I'm paying attention to this right here, to the curvature of these averages, this rate of momentum, this rate of change. Look at it build out to the downside, rotates to the upside. It's an oscillator. It's measuring the rate of change. Look at your price. It's going up more and more, faster and faster, until it is square. Time and price are square, the trend changes. That is the culmination of momentum. From zero, from flat to full. And all these wave trend oscillators are doing is giving us, it's using a formula, to give us the average price and then plotting it with these blue waves down here. So it makes it easier to just visualize this. Well, for me it does. I would assume it does for other people. I mean, they call these the anchor wave, trigger wave, trigger wave. I'm ignoring that. I'm looking at this flow. You can see it building out to the downside right there. Now let's look at it in the price. Is the price going up? No, but you can see there's this nice bowl to it. And where would this culminate? Somewhere right about in here. Kind of right in about here. Let's look at this rate of change. It's coming on down. Momentum culminates right about here. Is that the low? But not exactly. We got this one wick here, and usually in this upward flow is where you see the most price action change. This side of the curve. Let's look back here. Look at it build itself out, build itself up. And where do we see the price action rise? In this section. Mostly from the mid and in the upper section. Or even as momentum starts to lose, this often isn't the exact high, But then we get this cool off period. So what do we got going on presently? So there's a brief little tutorial of how I measure momentum using the wave trend oscillator on pretty much any chart. I'm looking at this curvature, this rate of change in the price. It's coming down faster and losing more, and then it starts building momentum. So let's look at our current. Here's our current low. Let's look at the momentum. Let's look at this curve here. You know, it's culminated already. And then what's happening? We're trending sideways. The question is, you know, what levels are important in here? Well, we got about 75K in here, and then we got dead space, you know. So whether or not, I mean, this is all we need right here, I mean, that's unanswerable. And, if we were to look at, well, let's look at our momentum. When should we expect momentum to pick back up? Because it's already culminated. We see it in the price. Time and price are square, you know. This is a square. Our rate of change was going up faster and faster, more price rise with less time, creating this curve. Well, that changed. You know, now it's going in the other direction. So let's look at it on our oscillator. Look at it building up in your oscillator. Where would it culminate? Right about in here. So where should you be looking for a high? Somewhere in this time period, you know. And that's kind of about what we got going on. We're stuck in this little range. And then now look at this. Let's follow this momentum curve down. Where should you be looking for the momentum to shift? Not a bottom, not this exact top price, this exact low price, and all this stupid garbage that is not predictable. I mean, we can come up with probability-based levels that we should be looking at, you know, in this time period, you know. Do we think that we have, you know, consolidated enough, or, you know, make whatever thesis you want? I mean, as far as levels, I mean, all you're really looking at here is support, resistance. You got 75K, and then you got dead space. If you pull percentages of retrace, here's your low. You know, you'd be looking at your significant levels. You know, 1/3, 50%, golden ratio. I mean, look at 50% retrace of this low just happens to be 72K. I mean, I would say 75K is far more psychologically significant than 72K. You know, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if we came back to 75,000. But look at this momentum. Now let's look at it building itself out to the downside. Here's the culmination. Let's just follow this down, you know. Should be expecting it to rotate back up, you know. Maybe this here gets prolonged, but where should you be looking for the big rip? Right in here. A trend, not a spike in price rise. We'll probably see a spike in price rise as this blue wave does one of these, you know. Maybe we get a little red dot here. Gotta get a wave up above this midline. You know, maybe it comes up just like this. On down, you know, get some waves building. That's that rate of change in the price. I mean, that's the same thing that we're looking at here with the shape that you see on all of my charts. This is the momentum, the measurement of how much is it gaining in percentage of value on a log scale versus time. You know, when it's going up more percent with less time, it is gaining momentum. That is positive price value rise, inducing action. You know, when it loses momentum, I mean that rate of change is changing. Well, that's telling you that there's less people coming in and buying. You know, it's slowing down. And as it slows down, well, what happens? Well, then, you know, people take notice and sell. So, I mean, we know we're in this part right here. So what should we be expecting on this daily Bitcoin chart? Consolidation, retrace, which could also turn into a full-on price reversal. But at least consolidation. Well then, what kind of range are we looking at? You know, is it very short-term consolidation, let's grab a rectangle and let's look at the average size of our short range consolidations. You know, we got this right here. Let's grab this one. You know, that's the average amount that Bitcoin is changing, looking from high to low. High to low. Well, low to high. Low to high. Pretty darn close. So let's come up here and let's look at this consolidation. And I bet we could find the same average range all over the place. You see that also on tons of my charts. So we've retraced about 75% of just the average little mini range. Now let's take the size of this full consolidation zone. Let's go right there. Let's grab that guy. You know, I mean, that brings us back to our level down here. So, I mean, what kind of levels should we be looking at? So our retrace level, let's look at that again. And why are we looking for consolidation or decline? And I'm not saying price can't come up a little higher. It certainly could. I mean, we could even poke up to, you know, 115, 112 or whatever. But is it going to be a solid ongoing trend like this? I don't think so. Not until we let some folks off and entice some new folks in this liquidity cycle here. The momentum of the flow here, you know, which would... Our time period is about right here. We can also use some other tools. So here's some levels to look at. 50% is 73,000. You know, I like 75K. Seems pretty significant to me. Let's grab a volume tool. Let's get some more levels that we should be looking at. Fixed range volume profile. Let's just take it from right here right here. Should work at 100 ticks. My goodness. Is there that many in there? Let's go 250. Well, volume profile tool doesn't want to work today. Whatever, we'll skip that. Regardless, I mean, you can see the range. I mean, it's right here. I mean, if you just, it's 50% of the range. Plus, you get a big fair value gap and all this other things that silly trading advice tells you to look at. Let's grab your trend here. You know, let's mark this time period right about here. February 10th, February 20th. I would say you should be looking for a trend change the end of February moving into May. You know, upward rise. Now whether or not that trend starts down here and only gets you back to here or gets you to 500K, I have no idea. Those are all wonderful questions that you just monitor the flow of this momentum, you know. So those are the levels I'm looking at. Time periods, we got a couple other things we can look at. Let's grab our Gann Box, start at our low, let's drag our 3.8 level there. So I mean, we're looking for proportional relationships in price action, not predicted price levels and, you know, this is the market's going to be at this price on this date. I don't think it's hard to find these proportional relationships and say that you should be looking for price change at a certain date, like this exact high called like a year in advance. You know, those are proportional relationships, or this price. you know, you should be looking for things to change there. So here I've set this 3/8 level here, and we're looking for correlation here, you know. So I mean 75, 682, so I mean the 75.5 to 73 area to me is pretty significant. Or even just right in here, 80k to 75k looks pretty significant to me. And if you get some confluence there, let's look at time. Let's set some of these time values. Let's look for some correlation, you know. Let's set our 3/8 at one of these lows. You know, we're catching this high. We're not catching much there, but it's giving us that. Let's see here. Here, I mean, we got our breakout there, we got our high there, we got our high there, and an end date of about March 9th. Yeah, I don't see much going on the proportional with the time starting at that low. Let's go from our last high. Let's look for some more proportional relationships. You know, I kind of like this here. Still giving us this kind of same. This is where you know, will be looking for price rise at the end of February I expect to leading into May. And I expect this to consolidate here or range. And how low should we be looking at? Well, look at this relationship right here. If we just take this low and get our 382 on this high, I mean, that is our high. You know, we've got some pretty significant levels in here. I mean, that gives us room to come up to 115,000. You know, on this downward part, I mean, there's no reason you can't get even one more little spike. And look at your highs losing momentum. You know, that curvature where you would expect culmination right about here. So I mean, there's no reason you can't pop up here even still. Come on down and do something like this. Now you have your average size range and head on back to reality. But that's all I really got on the Bitcoin, you know. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at one possible little price spike there. Let's put on to a smaller time frame. What do we want to look at locally? Let's see. So let's look at our momentum on the 4 hour here. You know, the 4 hour got a little something going on there. I mean, that's what I mean. There's a little room there. Look at this build itself out. Momentum culminates right there at your curvature. You can see price consolidated all the way through here, and then now we got a little bit of a uptick. You would expect to culminate right kind of about mid-January. You know, where that takes us, I don't know, but look at your price action here. You can see also, you got this little rotation here, built itself out to the downside. If we went down to a smaller time frame, we would probably see that curvature in these waves, you know. And then you can see it in your price action highs. Time and price are square. You can see it in your upward price action. Time and price are square. This kind of, and where did the trend change? Well, now you're consolidating, and you know, how much does it give away? It's very indicative. So you have to watch it. Does it hold here and then rip? And this little upward tick, when should we be expecting it to end? Well, mid-January, so either we're going to consolidate here and then dump it, rip, consolidate, move on, get a little rip, and dump it. Or full-on bull market reversal, head on into the bear market. 6x is pretty significant. I am not quite looking for that yet, you know. I would expect to play around here for a while. So, that is what I'm looking at, you know. The only other thing we could check is maybe come on down to the hourly. Zoom in a little bit more, or, you know, we're looking at the same data. Here's what I mean. You can see it now. After we broke that momentum, we culminated about right there. We're pretty clear on the 4 hour. I think it's pretty clear here too. And where should we expect this to be reversing? Right about here. And where should we be looking for our tradable trend? Right here. You know, follow that liquidity, that momentum, and look at it in your price action. See that curvature. Time and price are square. What happened? Big green candle. Now look at this downward momentum on the smaller little mini trends. You know, right about here. It should. I'm not saying that it can't break out of there. You know, when you see a significant change, well, then you know something's going on. Here's your bigger trend. So that's what I'm looking at, you know. So if it was to pull back and I was to see some positive action, what would I be looking at? I don't want to, if I was trading this, which I'm not, swing trade. Short-term trading, if I was trading this, I would be looking at this. We broke trend already. I'd be looking for this to pull back down here somewhere, at least 50%, 38.2%. You know, grab your fib tool, grab your Gann Box, grab whatever you want to measure that percentage change. 50% is 95K. But that's all I got. If you like this kind of content, hit like, share, subscribe, join that Discord. Sorry I haven't been in there very much, you know, to talk about it in there a little bit, but not in here much. I notice all these patterns because I kind of have a level 2 hardcore autistic brain with ADHD, so I get a little burnt out on stuff and could kind of care less, and there's not really much in this for me, sharing this stuff, besides just to be helpful and offer a different perspective, you know, from a different style brain. But until next time, trade well.